Welcome back to BNC Live. Our spotlight on Black excellence continues. If you're just joining us, we've been talking live to professor, philosopher, author, and activist Dr. Cornel West. Dr. Cornel West, thanks so much for sticking with us. We have so much more to talk to you about. You've been in the news lately. People around the world are backing you on this. You've been a professor at Harvard, and they decided not to give you tenure. Talk about that.
Yeah, it's a sign of the spiritual and intellectual bankruptcy of Harvard that I even have to worry about these kind of things, given at this moment in my own calling, my own vocation. And you see, I learned from Irene and Clifton West, the best parents in the history of the world. And I'll never be half the human beings they are. But I learned from them, you don't tolerate disrespect and you don't negotiate respect. If the folk have a dishonesty, a pettiness, it's time to go. I ain't got time. I ain't got time to put up with this kind of thing. I got too many things to focus on. So I'm heading back to New York, the great Union Theological Seminary, where I began my teaching 44 years ago. And can't wait to get to Manhattan. Can't wait to get to Harlem. Can't wait to get to New York and the Jersey area as a whole, because I've got my daughter down there. My precious, brilliant son is down in ATL, down in Atlanta, doing his thing. But I'm still blessed. It's just, people try to degrade you and devalue, but they can't dampen my fire. No, 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 no. They can't. They can't. Nowhere near that. Nowhere near that. I got a fire that doesn't allow me to hold my peace. And so I can't wait to be in another context to try to be true, to tell the truth, seek justice, and be a love warrior and freedom fighter like my heroes, the Martin Kings and Malcolm X's and Ella Bakers and Fannie Lou Hamers and Donny Hathaways and Teddy
Dr. West, do you think it
Pendergrass.
was because of your political stance?
I think it probably had something to do with it. Yeah, I think it also had to do with my very strong defense of my precious Palestinian brothers and sisters who find themselves under a vicious Israeli occupation. And see, I have a deep commitment to oppress people no matter who they are. If they're Jews in Russia, I'm in solidarity. If they're Dalits, so-called untouchables in India, I'm in solidarity. If they Roma or so-called gypsies in Europe, I'm in solidarity. If they're peasants in Brazil, I'm in solidarity. If they're workers in Haiti, if they're peasants in Ethiopia, no matter what, whoever is undergoing suffering, as a Christian, I am in deep solidarity. And as someone who calls for the fundamental transformation of societies, I'm going to speak out on their behalf and be willing to pay any cost or bear any burden for that. And of course, it all begins with Black people in the United States. And it has to do with integrity. It ain't got nothing to do with popularity. You see, I don't love Black people for Black people to love me back. I love Black people because Black people are worthy of being loved, no matter who they are. I've taught in prison for 41 years, and I love my brothers, even though many of them done some things they shouldn't have done, but they can bounce back. They can bounce back. So when you're talking about that caravan of love that the Isley brothers was singing about, or the love train of the OJs, or that train that Curtis Mayfield was talking about people get ready, don't need no ticket, just get on board. That love is about justice. Justice is what love looks like in public, just like tenderness is what love feels like in private. That's that try little tenderness of Otis Redding, or that tenderoni of Babyface that Bobby Brown was singing about a few decades ago. That's part of the greatness of Black people. We are a world historical people because of our greatness, and our greatness has been manifest in serving others, telling the truth, and emptying ourselves, giving of ourselves, just like a James Brown concert where at the end he can hardly move. He's given so much of himself, but he's willing to even do more if they want one more song. He didn't play soul power, James. Hit it, Bootsy. Hit it, Maceo. Hit it, Stepperfield on the drums. James Brown came to serve. That's a great model for Black leaders. We don't have enough Black leaders who love the people enough to serve the people. We got too many Black leaders who are well adjusted to injustice and tied to the status and the visibility and the money and the spectacle. And we got too many of them willing to sell their souls. But thank God we've still got some who
Dr.
are
West,
not, but we got too many of them who are willing to sell their souls. We got to call that into question.
Dr. West, I want to talk about justice for Black people. You're talking about love and justice for Black people. People have love for George Floyd, rest his soul. People want justice for him. We've been
Absolutely.
following the Derek Chauvin trial closely. What will it take to have real police reform?
Well, one, you're going to have police who murder our precious brothers and sisters go to jail. Fair trial, go to jail. How often do they go to jail? Hardly at all. And as long as you have none of them going to jail, then they figure they can get away with it. They figure they can live a life of impunity, no accountability, no responsibility, no answerability. So until we reach a point where a policeman who engages in brutalizing Black people and murdering Black people will reach a point where they go to jail, then we're going to have a lessening of it. But we're far from that right now, and I'm not holding my breath. You know, my hunch is that these policemen, they're not going to go to jail. You could just tell the way the juries are acting and the deliberations and so forth. And it just shows again that a Black life has less value than a white life. That's in part what white supremacy is. And that's why we got to be vigilant. We got to be willing to fight. We got to be love warriors against any form of hatred or contempt for Black people.
You were just talking moments ago that you feel that there's not strong enough Black leaders right now. Uh, Talk about if you think there's any young Black leaders out there that you think can carry the torch for social justice. And we do have some new Black leaders. We have Dr. Raphael Warnock, who just got elected to the Senate. What are your thoughts? You said some pretty remarkable things about not having enough Black leadership.
Well, we actually do have significant young leadership in the Black Lives Matter movement. You got Tef Poe, you got Philip Agnew. I mean, these are great, great leaders. Sister Ashley, there's a number of them who are meeting the standard that I'm talking about. They're just not as visible. You see, the highly visible Black leadership tends to be a Black leadership that's part and parcel of the white establishment. And the white establishment likes to trot out the darlings, these Black darlings of the establishment. But believe me, the establishment is not going to be the source of dealing with the Black suffering that we have. We can have a connection with the Black establishment in terms of putting power, bringing power, the pressures to bear on that establishment. But the real lovers of Black people, the free Black people, they're not going to come from the white establishment. They're not going to come from these plantation sites in the country. No, no, no. It comes from below. You know, Louis Armstrong didn't come from Juilliard. He came from the hood in South, in New Orleans, in Storyville. But he changed the world with his genius. He changed the world with his love. He's a love warrior, you see. And from Louis all the way up through Mary Lou Williams, all the way up to Erykah Badu, all the way up to the present, D'Angelo and all the others, J. Cole and the others, still strong as ever, the Raw Diggers. Those are the free ones. Those are the ones you want to keep in mind. You know, the James and Tumays, Renaissance man that he. Those are the ones you want to serve as the standards of excellence. Because keep in mind, my dear sister, being successful is not the same as being faithful to the people. Being successful is not the same as being great. And even being excellent has to be connected to service. You can be excellent and still be afraid to serve because you're so tied to money and power. We have to break the fear. Brother Martin Luther King used to say, I'd rather be dead than afraid. Mary Ellen Pleasant in California, the first Black multimillionaire who gave $900,000 to John Brown before he tried to break the back of slavery. What she used to begin every speech, I'd rather be a corpse than a coward. We don't need Black cowards. We don't need Black folk who run around scared, afraid all the time. You got to be free. Lift your voice. Be full of fires. That Al Green used to sing about, full of fire, the fire of love, of truth, of justice. And I'm a Christian, full of the holy, tied to a blood at the bottom of a cross that changes your life so that you're willing to throw down with a smile and style, in humility and tenacity, just be on the love train. That's why I salute Black News Channel, allowing Black voices to be raised. I salute Sister Laverne McGee and the others. Black voices to be raised.
And we salute
Love,
you.
justice.
Thank you so much, Dr. Cornel West. We have really enjoyed this time with you. Thank you for saluting us. We salute you. You've done so much for the community. We appreciate all your words of wisdom, and we will obviously want to have you back again sometime because we could talk to you forever. But sadly, brother, Dr. Cornel West, we are out of time.
But anytime though, and I'm embracing all of those behind the scenes. They're doing a wonderful job. Doing a wonderful job.
They are. Yes, thank you. We appreciate it.